So again, good afternoon. Welcome to those who may be watching on today's recording to the special Cutter Transportation webcast for What If You Could Supercharge Your Career, Connect with Peers, and Collaborate with Leading Transportation Researchers, all for free. Our presenter today will be Mr. Ed Watt. Mr. Watt has started his 40-year career in transportation as a frontline worker at New York City Transit Authority, where he has worked for the two largest international transit unions, the Amalgamated Transit Union, as well as the Transit Workers Union. With him understanding the critical role research plays in safety and union management relations, Ed has facilitated research with TRB, NIOSH, Cornell University's Institute of Workplace Studies, in addition to 6 years on project selection committees for TCRP, and he has where he has been on panel members for 15 projects. So with that, and he is currently the principal of Ed Watt ADR and Alternative Dispute Resolutions Practice. So with that, it is my pleasure to introduce Ed Watt. So Ed, go ahead and take it away. Ed, just make sure you unmute.
Thank you. Always what you hear on these video calls. Remember
Now,
to unmute.
Little tricky button.
Right. Another tricky button. Well, thank you, Stephanie, so much, and for all your help here, and for everybody at Cutter for sponsoring this. I am delighted to be here. As you heard, my name is Ed Watt, and I've spent many years in the transportation industry on the union side. But our talk today is not about me and my career and my resume. It's about you and your career and your resume and what you can do to supercharge it, as we said. So to enhance our conversation today, and if you feel comfortable enough, I'd like you to share some information about yourself in the chat. You can include your name, where you work, and what interests you in transit, or none of that, or some of it. And you could include what work activities you do or something else that led you to the transportation industry. And as Stephanie said, we'd like to know that folks are out there and listening. So Stephanie, if you see anything coming in, just read it out. And if you don't, just let me know it's a shy group and we can move on.
Yep, they're type. I see that they're typing. I know that
Okay.
there are lots of familiar names on the call today, so we'll give them a few seconds to respond.
Well, that's great.
We have Diana Ramirez. She didn't let me know where she was from, but she is here. And I can quickly just read through some of the names in the chat. We have Barry Michael, Brendan Guess, Candace Kennan. Oh, we have Rosa Torres from Lynx. She's on the call today. And Monica is from Swanee Valley Transit Authority. That's one of our small rural transit agencies here in Florida. And I think, Brandon, he works, he's a program manager at VHB in the Orlando office. He is interested in transit and TDM and helping people. We've got Adam. Oh, now they're all coming in real fast. We got Adam Rosenfeld. He's a program manager of workforce outreach for CAP Metro. He works on external to recruiting partnerships and would really like to transition out of talent acquisition into smart mobility. And then we have Barry Michael. He is at Heart here in Tampa. He is in training. He's a training specialist. He has a passion for training, customer service, and serving the world of people with disabilities. And Adam also noted that he is always open and to anyone who wants to connect. I think that's all we have. Yep, Candace is also from Swanee Valley Transit Authority. Again, one of our rural agencies. We've got Ken Sides. He's a senior transportation engineer with TYL Lynn International in Tampa. And then Sam Stryatt from Ride New Orleans. He is in a nonprofit advocating for world-class transit systems in the New Orleans regions. His role is in outreach ambassador and policy intern. So it looks like we've got a good group on the call today.
Great group.
Yep.
Absolutely. And welcome again, everyone.
Yep, keep responding.
Sorry? Okay.
I was just going to just encourage everyone to keep responding, and I'll hand it to you to move on with your remarks.
Okay, great. Thanks again. And thank you all for attending. This is great. And as you'll see in a few minutes, all of the topics in smart mobility, et cetera, that you mentioned here and so many more, there's going to be research available in TRB for it. And that's kind of what we're talking about today. So there'll be no cost opportunities through the Transit Cooperative Research Program, TCRP. We have a lot of acronyms here today, and the Transportation Research Board, TRB. And TCRP is under the umbrella of TRB, which is under the umbrella of the National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine. But before we get to TCRP, I'd just like to point out that TRB offers the following resources. They have more than 600 research projects ongoing at any one time, and they publish 800 peer-reviewed papers each year. They also have the largest transportation research bibliography database in the world with 1.4 million records. And the acronyms on then are TRD, TRS, and ITRA, which is International Research. There are 48 standing committees that people can become friends of. We'll talk about friends in a little bit. And they sponsor 50 conferences and workshops per year and over 100 webinars per year. And I always like to say that the annual meeting held in Washington, D.C. in January is attended by 14,000 of my closest friends. And anyone can open a free account and avail themselves of this treasure trove of research. Again, just by opening a free account. But I do have to say there are some more intense activities that your participation would require sponsorship from your employer usually, but they are the smaller amount, and we'll talk about them later. So let's see here. So what is TCRP and what are TCRP ambassadors? So get ready for the alphabet soup here. TCRP develops practical near-term solutions to public transportation challenges. They're managed by the Transportation Research Board, again, which is part of the National Academies, as I mentioned. TCRP is sponsored by, that means is where the money comes from, the Federal Transit Administration, right, FTA, and collaborates with the American Public Transportation Association, APTA, which many of you, I'm sure, are familiar with. So the ambassador program was established in 1998 as a collaborative initiative between APTA and the Conference of Minority Transportation Officials, COMTO. So I didn't hear a name, but I believe Tiara Fisher from COMTO, who does a great job running the TCRP ambassador program, should be on the call today, and a shout out to her for all the great work that she does. So the ambassadors represent a diverse range of professionals and transportation sectors across the United States, helping to broaden the research, the reach and impact of TCRP's research initiatives. So I'd like to talk for a minute about my journey to TCRP. In 2010, a colleague of mine nominated me for a research panel. That's a subject matter expert panel that TCRP convenes, and we'll talk about the process much more as we get into this later. But I was told that I was going to be on panel A35. I was voluntold, right? A35, and it was about safety culture in transit. It resulted in Report 174 that you can look at on safety culture. And it was my first experience there. And I'll tell you, that's where the TCRP bug bit me. And the information that I gave Stephanie was a little dated because I've been involved in more than 20 research projects. I've been on the TCRP projects, several synthesis projects, and we'll talk about what they are in a little bit, as well as being on the project selection committee, which, by the way, is meeting as we speak today. And we'll talk a little bit later about exactly what they're doing. So when I got involved with that, I found out that this was the most accessible, most democratic, whatever egalitarian type of adjectives that you'd like to use, that anyone could participate. As Stephanie said, I had participated research in New York with the with Cornell's Workplace Institute, churned out 12, 15 reports, and also with NIOSH, which did some reports on individual working groups. And I was still fascinated more by this work with TCRP than before, because the catch here is that I was only able to facilitate that research because of my position in the union. And of course, I had relationships with people from Cornell. But TCRP is open to everyone. So, um, sorry, let's see here. So, um, what is TCRP? It's a platform for developing innovative near-term solutions to address public transportation challenges. Their products include research reports, synthesis documents, and legal research digest on a comprehensive array of topics in public transportation. The topics include operations, service configuration, engineering, maintenance, human resource, where most of my work has been, policy and planning, and several others. So the ambassadors are crucial in accelerating the adoption of TCRP research findings and promoting these projects. So basically, we're the marketing folks, right? So if you are passionate about solving transportation challenges, TCRP offers you an exciting opportunity to transform public transportation, concentrating on your particular problem or your solution. It'd be. And each year, innovative ideas are submitted by industry officials and professionals, and they result in groundbreaking studies that address critical transportation needs. So if you have a solution that could make a difference, or if you just have a problem that you'd like explored, this is your chance to contribute. Again, the TCRP Oversight and Project Selection Commission, which is called TOPS, will review and select the latest research problem statements in the fall. To help you understand exactly how to submit your idea, we'll now watch a video that walks through the submission process step by step. This is not advancing. Did I advance too much? Let me see. I did. Here we go. Great. So there is a template available on the on those websites with the seven listing the seven steps that you have to fill out. And as they said, three or four of them are the most important. I have been involved in the screening panel for many years, reviewed 70 or 80 problem statements. I have never seen anybody really estimate the cost. They would or show why, give any backup for that. So don't let that scare you away. And since there are a limited number of people here today, as an ambassador, TCRP ambassador, I would gladly help anyone out that would like to talk to me about um, writing a problem statement. The problem is you can't submit any problem statements until June of next year, and we'll talk about that schedule a little later. But right now, I'd like to talk about how I got involved in the ambassador program because it follows the particular steps you're going to see in a minute. Uh, and those steps are identify a problem, describe the need for research, and justify how the research will help you. I'm involved in a graduate program that's run out of San Jose State University and run by MTI, Transportation Management. And during one of our classes, uh, everyone was giving a report on an assignment. And one of the students there, one of my fellow students said, well, here's this problem. And the professor said, oh, and you have the solution, and that's a great solution, and you should really see if someone in your agency can address this. And the person replied that they weren't really in a position um, to facilitate that. So of course I had to open my big mouth and tell everybody that they should submit a problem statement to TCRP on this. And at that point, the professor asked me to come back to another class and talk about TCRP. And I deferred at first, and we got somebody from TCRP, but they have a lot of work to do. And so in the year that followed, I became a TCRP ambassador. The professor again asked me to come back to the class, and I checked back in with the folks at TCRP, and they said, go for it, do that. So I saw this as a way to expand, and I'll talk about it a little later, to expand the TCRP ambassador roles. So um, what you have to do here, this is now we're going to talk about the Transportation Research Board's technical committees and as well as TCRP. And this little flow chart or organization chart will tell you exactly where they are. Highways, not a big secret. They get the big money, just like they do in the the Transportation Authorization Act. But there's TCRP and there's National Highways Cooperative Program, and there's also airports. In airport, I think transit is the only one where anyone, you don't even have to be in the industry, can submit a problem statement. But anyway, the technical committees um, convenes experts, and they're undergoing some restructuring right now, as I said, from 177 to 48. And we'll see what surfaces there. But you will be able to go to the TRB website, trb.org, and mytrb.org, open a free account, and avail yourself of all the research that I talked about before. Uh, so you can join the committee. Unfortunately, the deadline is tomorrow for submitting like a 2,000-word essay on why you should be on the committee. But you can always be a friend of the committee. And being a friend of the committee has access to emails on a regular basis. And there are two meetings. One is at the annual meeting. And like I said, it helps if you're sponsored. But you can go to those meetings for free. You don't have to have a registration at the annual meeting in order to go there. They keep them in a separate hotel and right next door. And anyone can attend those, even as a friend of the committee. And there you can meet mentors and experts in your particular field, whether that's safety or security, cybersecurity. Again, there's many topics that are available. So let's see here. We're going to go back to this TCRP cycle. So mid-June, for TCRP, not for synthesis, but for TCRP, mid-June is usually the time. Occasionally they extend it by a week or two to submit the problem statements. Then it goes before a screening panel. Like I said, I've been involved in that for many years. Just to be involved in this screening panel, which is now remote, so there's a lot more availability there. Everybody on this call should consider that, and we can also let you how to do that if you want to know. So the screening panel usually approves about half of the 70 or 80 problem statements. Um, and then they're sent to the project selection committee, which only has money for about 5 or 6 or 7 of them. And after they select them, usually at the end of October, there'll be an announcement made, again, usually in the beginning of December, the middle of December, and they formulate the panel. So you can self-nominate to be on a subject matter expert on these panels. Like I said, I've been involved in over 20 of them. And I've submitted one problem statement on my own, but I've submitted several in cooperation with several other people, obviously the labor unions and some health and safety people. So I was the chair of the Report 193, which is on operator assaults. Bathroom access, I was a vice chair. And I'm a chair of what's now A26A, which has to do with working conditions and how they affect the bottom line. So anyway, so a panel gets convened. You have to fill out a couple of forms if you're accepted. And then they start on the proposal process. So it used to be a 2-day meeting. Now it's pretty much a 1-day meeting. And it is virtual. And they break it up into 4 hours. And then maybe if it needs, they can come back the next day or the next week and review. But what they do at that first meeting, that initial meeting, is they craft, with the help of staff of TRB, you will craft an RFP, request for proposal, and you will then send that out. TRB will do all the editing to it. So you really have to just say, what's the purpose of this? What's the goals? And what do we want to accomplish? And you can change the name of the title of the proposal or anything that you want. It's solely in your hands then, not in the hands of the person who wrote it. Um, and then that gets posted on a website and distributed to the usual researchers. Cutter is one of those. And then the proposals come back to the same committee. You read those and evaluate them. And at another meeting, you will select who gets the um, money to do the research, and then you will guide that project surveillance. You will guide that research throughout the next usually 2 years. People say 18 months to 24, but they usually last 24 to 36 months. And then you can also guide the results and the implementation. So let me talk about the synthesis project. As you saw, TCRP main projects are usually in the area of funded in the area of 250 to 300,000 or more, depending. And their research, primary research, whereas the synthesis is just what's the state of the art, what's the practice in the transit world. And again, the same topics are there, the same categories are there. They haven't released the exact date when the synthesis topic ideas are due, but I spoke to Jamal Scobie, and he's the head of the synthesis panel, and he said after the TRB annual meeting, which is in January, you can start to submit, and usually mid-March it's done. So if you want to get out your cameras or however you'd like to copy this down and go to the TCRP website, I'll leave this up here for a few minutes. And if we have any, and while people kind of look at that, if we have any questions, we can field them now. before I move on to the next URL?
Yeah, I'll just let everybody know the links within the presentation are clickable, so you can just simply click on the link that's on the screen. I've also been pasting a number of the links that you have mentioned in the chat as well.
Okay, so let's try this. Oh, they can click on it, right? I shouldn't click on it.
Yes,
I
they
got
can
you.
click on it. Yeah.
I clicked on it, but I'm not screen sharing today, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so then we'll move to the next one. And these are the webinars and the newsletter. In fact, I got a newsletter today. Let me take a minute and read it out to you. The newsletter was from the TCRP program. APTA sends it out. And like I said, they make how many published reports a year? Hundreds, right? Of peer-reviewed reports. And too many apps on my phone, like everybody probably. So today's TCRP has microtransit solutions in rural communities. Again, these are free downloads. You'll go in there and you'll see a price, but just go to the free download. The future of commuter rail is another one. They have an advertisement for APTA's Rail Conference as well. And they have a place where you can tell your story about how you benefited from TCRP research. So, and then there's a webinar archive there, and that's all from APTA, that information. So also, no live links here, sorry. But you can search on these social media sites to platforms to get the latest, right? This is how you can connect with them, follow them on social media, get the latest events. Again, discover groundbreaking research about transportation and what their schedule is for submitting problem statements and topic ideas and synthesis. So everybody should be encouraged to get involved with this community because it's going to help you in your career. You'll be able to supercharge your networking ability, and you can do so from the comfort of your own home, even without sponsorship, without traveling to conferences and all the related expenses. And if you're fortunate enough to be sponsored by your um, employer, it's even better. In fact, being knowledgeable about TRB and TCRP might actually land you that sponsorship in your employment. I see we had wellness and employee engagement here from Links, Sarah. So last year I put together a workshop in TRB at the annual meeting on psychological safety, and we talked about mindfulness and conflict and some other things there. So those are also good resources. So to become a friend of the committee, you simply go to the website, open your account, and then you'll have a MyTRB account. And then you go to technical committees, and you can scroll through the 48 committees. You can do that right now, actually, that are available to you and see where your interests match their research. Yeah, Stephanie's done a great job putting the links in there.
And then, Yep, and then Ed, somebody just made a note that most of the very intense evening receptions at TRB are open to anyone. Way more energy and one-to-one networking during the day. And then some vendors sponsor receptions, welcome receptions, as well as some local universities such as Qatar and UF for Florida have been they've had receptions in the past at TRB annual meeting.
Absolutely. Although my favorite is the ice cream social that WSP does at the rail conference this weekend. So that's my favorite. But thank you, Ken, for mentioning that.
And then Adam said, how do we get involved with the Friends of the Committees? And as Ed mentioned, click on the My TRB website that I had provided above to create that free account to log in, and then you can become a friend of however many committees you would like to be.
That's right. And that's a good point, Stephanie. There is no limit to how many committees you can be a friend of. And you'll get their emails throughout the year, depending on how busy they might be. And they usually have a second meeting. Some of them have monthly meetings. I was involved in the Truck and Bus Safety Committee, and they would start to have monthly meetings. And then they ask you, as a friend of the committee, if you'll review some papers for the annual meeting. So you get to do that, and you'll see what other people are doing in research or proposing for the TRB meeting. And again, this gets your street cred, so to speak, up. Put some of these activities on your resume. And what else in the Friends of the Committee? Oh, the committees also are responsible for, and I'm almost sure this won't change, for submitting a research needs statement to the TRB staff once a year. So you could participate in that as well. Again, you might not want to do a TCRP problem on your own, but through the leadership of the committee, you can suggest that they do things and then participate to whatever extent you feel comfortable in that. Many of those research needs statements then become TCRP problem statements or National Highway Cooperative problem statements. So there's no questions. Are there any comments on this or any stories about TCRP people would like to share?
I did want just to let everybody know, Ed, that I did put up the evaluation. Again, they can just simply click on the link and or type the question in the Q&A or chat box.
Right.
I will say
And
here in
we
Florida, we do rely on our transit agencies to help us and support some of the research that we submit through TCRP as well. So if you have an idea of something that you may be experiencing, you can always reach out to us at Cutter and we can help generate and submit. We've generated and submitted problem statements on behalf of transit agencies in the past.
and Tiara Fisher, who I hope is still on the call, is very interested in your opinion on this webinar as well. I'm semi-retired, but Tiara is kind of my boss in Compto, so um, let her know how you feel.
Okay, Ed, it doesn't look like we have doesn't look like we have any questions. So Tiara, she just put in the comment Thank you so much, Ed. Please feel free to share feedback questions with our Comto team, and then she provided the link or an email address in the chat box.
Very good. Will do, Tiara.
So again, on behalf of the Center for Urban Transportation Research, thank you so much for joining us for today's special Cutter Transportation webcast. So again, thank you so much, and we'll see you all real soon. Bye, everybody.
All right. Thank you for listening.